Hello everybody, this is Bindu Venugopal. Welcome to the world of QuitySwim. Before I explain about it, I'll be giving a brief introduction and versions of MIPS. Later on, I'll be explaining the installation part of QuitySwim and exactly where and how it is used. It is a MIPS assembly language simulator. It is used in MIPS language, assembly language. Introduction of MIPS. MIPS is an acronym for microprocessor without interlock pipeline stages. It is reduced instruction set computer. Instruction set architecture developed by MIPS Technologies. The MIPS architecture were 32-bit with 64-bit version added later. Multiple revisions of MIPS instruction set exist. MIPS implementations are primarily used in embedded systems such as Windows CE device, routers, residential gateways, video game consoles. The current revisions are MIPS 32 and MIPS 64. MIPS 32 and MIPS 64 defines a control register set as well as the instruction set. MIPS implementation were also used by digital equipment NEC, Pyramid Technology, Siemens Sixford and Tandem Computers and other during the late 1980s and 1990s. In the mid to late 1990s, it was estimated that 1 in 3 RISC microprocessor produced was an MIPS implementation. MIPS is a register-based architecture, meaning that the CPU uses registers to perform operations on. There are other types of processor out there as well, such as tag-based processors and accumulator processors. Processors based upon the MIPS instruction set have been in production since 1984. Over time, several enhancements of the instruction set were made. The different revisions which had been introduced are MIPS 1, 2, 3, 4. Each revision is a superset of its previous versions. When MIPS technology spread over with silicon graphics again in 1998, they enforced on the embedded market. At that time, this superset property was found to be a problem. As the architecture definition was changed to a defined in 32-bit and 32-bit MIPS 32, and for 64-bit it was MIPS 64 instruction set. MIPS 1 was introduced in 1985 with the register R2000 and MIPS 2 was introduced in 1990 with the with R6000. MIPS 3 introduced in 1992 in the R4000. MIPS 4 is the fourth version of architecture. It is a superset of MIPS 3 and it is compatible with all existing versions of MIPS. The first implementation of MIPS 4 was with R8000, which was introduced in 1994. MIPS was added with extra features like register plus register addressing for floating point of load and stores, single and double precision floating point fused with multiple adds and subtraction, additional move instructions for both integers and floating point, extra condition bits in floating point, control and status register, bringing the total register to 8. MIPS 32 introduced in 1990 based on MIPS 2 with some additional features from MIPS 3 and MIPS 4. And this was the latest version released in 2012. MIPS 64 introduced in 1990 based on MIPS 4. Companies like NES, Toshiba, SiPi and other companies licensed for MIPS 64 instruction set as soon as it was announced. Philips, LSI Logics, Raza Microelectronics, etc. and other companies joined with them. We move on to the introduction to QuitySwim and SPIM. SPIM is a self-contained simulator that runs MIPS 32 programs. It reads and executes assembly language programs written for its processor. SPIM also provides a simple debug and minimal set of operating system services. SPIM does not execute binary programs. SPIM is a reverse of MIPS. SPIM implements almost the entire MIPS 32 assembler extended instruction set. It omits most floating point comparisons and round modes and the memory system page tables. The MIPS architecture has several variants that differ in various ways, like MIPS 64 architecture supports 64 integers and address. Means that SPIM will not run programs compiled for all MIPS processors. MIPS compilers also generate a number of assembler directives that SPIM cannot process. These directives usually are being safely ignored. SPIM implements both terminal and window interface. Earlier version of SPIM implements the MIPS-1 instruction set used on the MIPS R2000 and R3000 computers. MIPS 32 architecture, which is a MIPS-1 instruction set, augmented with a large number of occasionally useful instructions. SPIM turned 25 years old in January 2015. The older versions are XSPIM user interface for SPIM built on the Qt UI framework. QtSpim, we have access to what we call as pseudo instruction. Pseudo instruction make MIPS a little more versatile by adding few new instructions. There are some advantages since QtSpim is the newest version of SPIM. The same source code and the same user interface are applied on all the three platforms. Those are Windows, Mac OS and Linux. SPIM implements both a terminal and a window interface on Microsoft Windows, Linux and Mac OS. The SPIM program provides the simple terminal interface and the QtSpim program provides the windowing interface. Advantages also in QtSpim. It omits the floating point comparison and rounding modes and the memory system page table. Compiled, immediately installed version of QtSim is available for Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, Linux, can be downloaded from the given link. These are the links for the download purpose. When you click on any of these links, it will be directed to another page, where this page looks similar like this. So when you click on the download button which contains the newest version of the QtSpim, and the downloads begin. It takes some time for the download purpose, and the speed depends upon the internet. Wait for some times. We'll go to the folder where the download is saved. When you double click on the QtSpim, this pop-up will appear where there is a contain and a cancel. Please do click on run. This pop-up will be appearing, which is for preparing for an installation. Yeah, just click on next when this pop-up is appeared. Yeah, don't make any changes in the pop-up which is appeared. Modification, clicked on it. Just click next after this. Yeah, now it is ready to install. Just click install. It will be after clicking the installation button. After some time, the new pop-up is appeared where the installation is complete. That time you click on the finish button to go the further step and your installation is completed.
Hello friends, my name is Sarfraz Nawaz, and in this part of the tutorial I will be explaining you about the basics of QtSpim with the help of simple examples.
See, that QtSpim is installed. We can go ahead and run it.
When we run our QtSpim, the window will open something like this. So we can see that there are two windows. One is main window and the second one is called console window. The console window is responsible for all the input-output operation in the QtSpim. Later on, we will be using this console window in our program. Now we come back to our main window. The tool is started. We can see that there are several panes filled with text and numbers. From the largest pane, we can see that there are two segments. One is data and another one is text segment. Text segment is the stack of our program. Whatever program we load in the QtSpim will be stacked over here on the right column of user text segment. In the data segment tells us about the detail of whatever is stored in the memory. Initially nothing is stored, so the values are 0. We can switch between the data segment as well as text segment using the tabs on the pane. On the right hand side, we can see that there is a register pane. Register pane contains all the standard R0 to R31, total 32 standard register, as well as high and low register and program counter. On the top of the window, we have register option as well as data segment option. In the register option, we get some three other options, which is binary, hex and decimal. It tells us about how do we want to store the data in our register, like hex, decimal. The values is stored in the form of 0 to 1. When we choose binary, it will be converted into the form of 0. So leave it at by default we leave it as hexa value. In the data segment also we can use the same thing. We can convert it how the values are appeared in our program. So down here at the bottom we can see that there is one more pane called message pane. Message pane is generally used to tell us about what our QtSpim is currently through. Like if we load any program, that program is running properly or it is creating any error. These all messages will be displayed in this message pane. So whenever we load any program in our QtSpim, we have to take a look in this message pane so that we get the status of. Before we go to our simple example, we take a brief idea about the naming convention of the register. As you can see that each register has a second name for their registers. Each name contains a number and a letter which tell us about the functionality of the given register. For instance, from register R8 to register R15, it contains T register. T register means temporary register. These values are considered not to be these register is not considered saved over a function call. After that after that temporary register, we have some saved register till R23. Total 8 saved register, which does the same thing, but the values are considered to be saved over the function call. We have some special register also like R28, R29 and R31. R29 is SP. SP means stack pointer. This and R31 is return address, RA register, which store the value of function address. We can use either of these names during the writing of our program. For a start, we take a sample program which performs simple memory operation. We can write program using any text editor. Complex editor like Microsoft Word cannot match with QtSpim editor very well, so I prefer using Notepad++. Before continuing in the program, we analyze the programming structure. Programming structure basically contains normal plain text with data declaration part and programming code part, and the name of this file is saved with the extension .asm operation, load and store. In the program description, we can see that this program is used for some basic in register L1. In the data segment, we can see that some arbitrary values are stored in register are stored in variable L1. We have some register R reserve which occupy 4 bytes of memory on the RAM. Now we meaning of global name. L1 and L2. In the begin, we can see that the value stored in register L1 and L2 is loaded in the temporary register T0 and T1. Then bitwise AND and OR are performed on those values, and the result of this AND and OR are saved in another two temporary registers T2 and T3. And finally, the register T3 holds some value which is stored in the memory location which we reserved in the data segment of 4 bytes. That there are two lines at the end of the program. From now on, just as we can notice that there are two lines at the end of the program. I'll explain about these lines in later programs. But for now, you just notice that these two lines are used for the end of any program written in Qt10. Once you load the program in the text editor, you save it, and now we have to load the program in our Qt10. We can load our program using the reinitialize and load file from here, or as well as we have a shortcut over here. Then we press on this. So now we choose the first program. When we load this program, we can see that there is some immediate change. We can see that the instruction of our program is loaded, and in the data segment pane, we can see that the variable are stored. And also in data segment pane, the value which we stored in the registers L1 and L2, and also the space reserved for the variable res should be shown in the data segment pane. From this point, we will do the simulating. For simulating, we have to choose the option under simulator, or also from any of these shortcuts. The run part, simply run your program until and pause are self-explanatory. Pause and stops are self-explanatory. Since MIPS program runs too fast, this is impossible to stop or pause MIPS program in between. And last, we have single stepping. Single stepping execute one instruction at a time during the execution of the program. So as we begin, we start by single stepping throughout the program. As you notice that there are instructions, they won't mess with your program. As soon as it reaches the jar name, it will execute the first line written by you. As soon as it reaches the jar name, it will direct the compiler to the first line written by the user program. As we single step through the program, the first value is loaded in the register. Our first instruction is load L2 to register T1. As we can see that in the register pane, the value of L1 is stored in T0. Similarly, when we move to the next instruction, it causes the value L2 to store in register T1. As you can see that the changes in the register panes. In the next two lines, the bitwise AND and bitwise OR will be performed, and the value will be stored in register T2 and T3. And in the last instruction of our program, the value of T3 will be stored in the reserved space in the data segment. So when we execute the last segment, we can see that the value changes, and the value of T3 is stored in the register register space which we reserve in the beginning of the program. With the help of this, we can see the utility of single stepping. If your program is not working correctly, you can single step through the program and find out the point of mistake where the program is responding abnormally. So you can fix the program easily. And we can see that the changes in the value of the register while single stepping. So so we can point out the point of mistake. So if we want to restore the program or reload the program, again we have to reload the program in the same option. So it will cause the program and the run button will cause your program to run continuously until it reaches the end of the program or some interrupt occur during the execution of the program. So in this case, it will simply execute and end at the run. In this instruction set, in this program, it will simply. Now we move on to our next section, which is pseudo instruction. If you have written a lot of program indicated by the limited nature of MIPS, we move on to our next section, which is pseudo instruction architect. But with the help of Qt-Spin, we have access to what we call as pseudo instruction. Pseudo instruction make the MIPS little more versatile by adding some few new instruction to use. How pseudo instruction work is when Qt-Spin encounters pseudo instruction, it automatically transforms it into one-to-one mating instruction. Pseudo instruction make it easier for the programmer to set up the logic he wants it to exactly. To demonstrate it, we will look into this program here. This is just a simple program that computes the sum of the array. As we can see in the beginning, in the data segment, we have declared one array with name L1, and in the text and end with system call. We will go ahead and load this program, this pseudo instruction program. When we open it, we can see that the instruction is loaded in our text segment. And we do the single stepping through the program. You can see that right in the program as it is written in text editor. As we can see that in right column, the program is written as it is written in the text editor, and in the left column, how actually executing first pseudo instruction is LA for load address. This simply into register T0. We can see the change in register T0 here also. And after that, we move to the next instruction, that is li, which immediately load the value 4 in register T1. You can see that this single step the program until we reach our next pseudo instruction, which is BGT. So we recall in the core ISA there are also branch instructions that are branch equal to and branch not equal to. But with the pseudo instruction, we now have wider variety of instruction sets like branch greater than, branch lesser than, branch greater than or equal to, and minimum. Because it combines the functionality of set if it is less than or if branch not equal to. As we can see that some instruction is created equivalent to BGT for next pseudo instruction is move. Move, what it is doing is it's transferring the sum to S2 register. It's transferring the sum which is stored in register T2 to S1 register. We can see the changes in this range. When we reach at the end of our program, and the last line is system call, all the program should end by this instruction. It is a very important with QT Spring because it controls all the input output operation in addition to the ending of the program. And at the end we can see that the value of sum of the array. We open the program. Basically what this program does is it requires the user to enter the value as input, double it and print the result back to the console. All the input output operation in Qt Spring take place in the console window as we have read earlier. So in this program, the main use of system call will be seen. System call step v0. In this program, we can see that at several places the system call is 4 is stored in system in register v0. That 4 value is used to print the string value 5 will request the integer input from the user, the response of which will be stored in register v0. And the response of which is stored in the register v0. And when we move to the next line, we can see that the value of this register v0 is moved to register t0 in the value in the register t1. In the next instruction, we can see that the value of t0 is getting doubled and the resultant value of t1, the value of register t1 is stored in the reserved space in the main memory, which we have reserved in the data segment part. And in the last instruction, after that we can see that the value 1 is stored in register v0, which is basically print the integer on the console window. And the last two line, which is 10, the value integer 10 is stored in register v0, which tells that the end of the program is reached. So we will go ahead and load this program. So we can see that the values are stored in this. When we run this program, we can see that the console window displaying a string and waiting for the user to input some number. Suppose I gave a number 5, so it will return me back the double of the 5. So it will return me back the double of value 5, which is 10. If we again want to run the program without reloading or repositioning, if we want to re-execute the same program, we just have to reload this thing. After that, when we open the console,